Greetings, vinyl community, and welcome to VC Friday. A quick word about the thumbnail for last week's video. That was the first and last time I will ever use AI on this channel. It was the suggestion of YouTube. They've got this little tool that after you've posted your video, it analyzes it and suggests the idealized thumbnail. And I've looked at this a couple of times just for laughs, and this one was just too preposterous not to use. But no, I'm not going to make a habit of that, and I'm kind of ticked off that they distorted the shape of my head to make it look like I have a more bulbous brain than nature intended. Robyn Hitchcock has 2 brand new albums out. I've had them both on pre-order for some months, and it's just like waiting for the bus. You wait and wait and wait, and then they come one right after the other. I think these literally arrived on consecutive days. The first is his new studio album, The Confuser, which comes in this gatefold cover adorned by Mr. Hitchcock's own artwork on the inside, and is available on this kind of black and white cookie vinyl. This is an all-electric full band album. We have Earl Slick on drums throughout, and Robyn Hitchcock's old mate from the Soft Boys days, Kimberly Rue, on about half the tracks. Jeremy Fetzer playing electric guitar on almost everything. The whole album is electric. The songwriting is typically high quality of Robyn Hitchcock. I wouldn't call it one of his greatest albums. The lyrics are maybe slightly toned down from some of his most macabre outings, but there are definitely some startling turns of phrase to be found here. So this is just not the best, but still a really good, solid Robyn Hitchcock album, I think.
I met an ugly man, his face was raw. He said demolition is 9/10 of the law. I pulled my thermometer from his silent head. You don't get a reading when the patient is dead.
The second new Robyn Hitchcock release is this Live at Acheron selection. The title is misleading. It's a live in the studio recording without audience. It's just an overdub-free solo acoustic recording or re-recording of a bunch of old Robyn Hitchcock favorites. It's all songs from the 80s. So songs from the first 10 years of Robyn Hitchcock's solo career. All songs that, I remember very fondly, all highlights from his albums, plus 2 cover versions. He does Syd Barrett's Gigolo Ant and the Beatles' A Day in the Life, closing out the respective LP sides. And this is available on 2 different colors of vinyl. My copy is on this purple, and there is also a red option. So choose your favorite color of Robyn Hitchcock, the old silver-haired devil himself.
Every day the satellite seems to be the door of someone's reach. Every day the satellite seems a little further down the beach. Satellites and stags, I'm growing Betsy in a bag, and she don't mind as long as things are round.
Another new release that came out a couple of months ago. This is Oblivion Seekers by the New York-based artist and composer Vida. And this is music that is avant-garde in a very peaceful and mesmerizing and very beautiful way. If you're interested in the sounds of Robert Ashley and of Laurie Anderson, this would be right up your alley. The music features Vida along with his female accompanists chanting, singing in unison, creating a kind of genderless voice, and just sticking on single notes, like B flat forever and ever, but very rhythmic, very entrancing, with background sounds provided by several woodwinds, acoustic bass, violin, and some light percussion. But the vocals are very much forward. The instruments just form a very sweet, improvisational, jazzy backing substrate for the rhythmic sounds based on found snatches of conversation, which is very much in the Robert Ashley wheelhouse, and is emphasized by the fact that the front cover is lyrics. And the inner sleeve is the same typography. This is all the text of the album. Really good listen. Vida, Oblivion Seekers.
Is this not the last reverberation of a great movement which took place in those days of blessed inaction?
From 1977, In Your Mind from Bryan Ferry. This is Bryan Ferry's first solo album of original material, after the first couple of solo albums being albums of cover versions, and the third, Let's Stick Together, being really a compilation of mostly singles and EP material, but it was a mix of covers and remakes of old Roxy Music songs. Well, this one is all new Bryan Ferry songs, and it came out after the temporary dissolution of Roxy Music after the Siren album. So if you imagine Roxy Music continuing its trajectory over those first 5 albums of increasingly accessible and commercial and pop-oriented material, this fits right along that direction. It's almost like a Roxy Music album, but it is distinctly more radio-friendly. I don't know how much radio play it got, but radio-friendly nonetheless in its approach. Very pop-oriented. It's got some cool, boisterous songs in especially Tokyo Joe, which was a single. This Is Tomorrow, I believe, was a single. All Night Operator. Really solid songs. A very enjoyable album all the way through. Particularly like Love Me Madly Again, the last track on side 1. Long, slow dance groove. Very nice song. Got a light funk to it. As for the Roxy Music feel, we've got the heartbeat of Roxy Music, Paul Thompson playing the drums. We've got a couple of former Roxy Music bass players contributing, John Wetton and John Porter. And on guitar, we do have Phil Manzanera. However, it's not clear how much he's playing on here because he is sharing guitar duties with Chris Spedding, not bad, and future Roxy Music guitarist Neil Hubbard. And there are a whole bunch of other players. There's a whole slew of backing vocalists. There are horns and strings. Mel Collins is one of the saxophone players. Got percussion from both Ray Cooper and Morris Pert. So pretty respectable instrumental lineup on here, and some pretty respectable songwriting, which is what we really want to hear from Bryan Ferry, along with that inimitable, and well, maybe it is very imitable, but that quirky voice, which is very much present. Vasant Rai was an Indian-born sarod player who came to the United States and settled in New York City in 1969 and made a number of records for the Vanguard label through the 70s before passing away in 1985 at the young age of 43. The albums he made for Vanguard range from pure classical sarod solo, accompanied only by the tabla drums and the drone instrument, the tampura, to albums like this one. This is actually the follow-up to Spring Flowers from 1976, and like this album, the members of Oregon join in to accompany Vasant Rai, at least 3/4 of the band. We have Colin Walcott on the tabla and other percussion, who also produced this album, Paul McCandless on oboe and English horn, and Glenn Moore on bass. Vasant Rai himself plays, in addition to the sarod, the flute, guitar, piano, and swarpeti, which is just a drone instrument, also known as a shruti box. And the other instrumentalists present are Steve Kindler on violin, who played on Mahavishnu Orchestra's Visions of the Emerald Beyond, and his brother Robert Kindler on cello, Kokila Rai, Vasant Rai's wife, on the tambura, and Martin Quinn on drums. And the drums come in on the last track on side 1, Bairui, Dark-Eyed Girl, which is full-blown fusion. This album ranges from beginning with just really almost traditional Indian classical sounds all the way into that jazz fusion movement that we get at the end of side 1. So there's quite a variety of tone colors and instruments used here. Fascinating album. The sarod itself is featured on the album cover, so you can see it's a string instrument with 4 playing strings, which are handled by these tuners here. And then these tuners up above control the long drone strings, and then there's shorter drone strings, which you see pop in under the fretboard and are tuned by these knobs. And the fingerboard is metal, so it's just shiny, slick metal, which is conducive to sliding among the notes. And then it's got the goat skin covering on the body. So this is from 1978, Autumn Song, and the 76 album Spring Flowers. It's unfortunately that we never got to hear Vasant Rai's takes on summer and winter. back to 1968, The Scaffold, of course featuring Mike McGear, otherwise known as Michael McCartney, Roger McGough, and John Gorman. And despite the dour expressions on the front cover, this is a pretty comical album. I'm a little disappointed at how much of a spoken word album it is. I wasn't really expecting that. Other Scaffold records I've heard have been pretty much entirely music. And this has only a couple of actual songs on it, opening with John Gorman's rendition of 10 Whiskey Bottles, which is essentially the stronger cousin of 100 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. Otherwise, the only proper songs are, Scaffold songs are Today's Monday and a version of Thank You Very Much, closing out the album with lyrics rewritten for the occasion. And a note that it is a complex song with difficult harmonies, written, sung, played, and beautifully performed by Michael McGear, as he doesn't do much else in the show. So if you come to this for the Mike McGear connection, it's not so much. Interesting note that the backing, there's some backing guitar and sitar here and there by none other than Dave Mason. And the arranging and production is by Mike Vickers, who at this time would have been fresh out of Manfred Mann. This is a British pressing on the Parlophone label. I think a lot of us have seen that label before. And don't forget, remember that the new Emitex cleans and preserves your records.
Her hands are cold and slippy like spoons.
Far less eaten there.
Soup spoons.
Is she of good stock?
She has a family tradition, ancient and revered like good trumpets.
Oh, is she musical?
On their mother's side, she can trace her ancestry back as far as the Suez Crisis.
What about her father's side?
He has two, both well covered, especially in winter.
Does she play the trumpet well?
She's better on spoons, soup spoons. Do you have a...
Here's an album I've been after for a while. It's an album from the British free improvisation scene of the 1970s. It's a recording from 1978, but released in 1980 on the Incus label. And as I say, I've been looking around for it. It tends to be a kind of pricey album. And I saw somebody else's video where they had gone into Amoeba Records in San Francisco, and there was a copy of this on the wall for a relatively reasonable price. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to keep that in mind. But of course, by the time I got there, it was gone. So I've just been keeping my eye out for one, and finally scored this one from Discogs. And it is a free improvisation by a pretty all-star assemblage. It's an 8-piece ensemble, so to speak, but I don't think everybody's playing all at once, because the idea was to put on a 24-hour concert of free improvisation. Apparently they only made it to 13 hours, but that was probably exhausting enough. So from left to right, we have Paul Litton, percussion and live electronics, David Toop, flute, alto flute, bass recorder, piccolo, homemade and found instruments, Max Eastley, self-designed automatic instruments and other small homemade instruments, Paul Burwell, percussion, Annabelle Nicholson. Now this is interesting. I don't know Annabelle Nicholson. Charcoal, sparks, branches, twigs, fire, pine needles, drafts, smoke. So it sounds like her main role is to set fire to things. Evan Parker, saxophones, etc. Hugh Davies, live electronics. Paul Lovins, percussion and singing saw. And then a ninth person who's not credited and whose face is not highlighted, but he is also there on the back cover, so I don't know who that is or why he is there. This consists of 3 excerpts, numbered 1, 2, and 3, from the 13-hour performance. For some reason, excerpt 1 it takes up side 2 of the album, and excerpts 2 and 3 take up side 1. I guess you just don't want to be predictable. And of course, the project name Circadian Rhythm makes sense within the context of wanting to put on a full-day concert, since the concept of a circadian rhythm is the body's response to the different times of day over the course of every 24 hours. And finally, back to the 60s again for another spoken word-ish album, but one with still a lot of musical content to it. P.D.Q. Bach on the Air, the 3rd P.D.Q. Bach album, a production of Professor Peter Schickele, the discoverer of P.D.Q. Bach to his eternal shame. And the concept of this album is that it is a radio program broadcasting out of the University of Southern North Dakota at Hoople. And there's a lot of amusing stuff going on in the radio station. There is P.D.Q. Bach himself, who bears a striking resemblance to Professor Schickele with a beard and a peruka. And as usual with P.D.Q. Bach, this is a mixture of incredibly broad and silly slapstick, musical slapstick, verbal slapstick, with more subtle musical jokes that only someone who's really got a bit of knowledge of classical music would get. So it gets you on multiple levels. It's funny for anyone, but if you've got some musical training, it's even funnier. And the best known piece on here is New Horizons in Music Appreciation, the hilarious sportscast version of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony First Movement by Professor Schickele with his partner Robert Dennis.
And they're off with a 4-note theme. This is very exciting. The beginning of a symphony is always very exciting, folks. I don't know whether it's slow or fast yet because it keeps stopping. It doesn't seem to be able to get off the ground yet. And it looks like, yes, it looks like we're coming up to a cadence here, folks. The violins didn't cut off there. A little trouble with the violins. They weren't watching. And there's that 4-note theme again, folks. And another stop. Just can't seem to get this piece off the ground. Now it seems to be rolling a little bit. Seems to be building up. Tell me, Bob, do you think you'd call that 4-note idea a theme or a motif?
Well, Pete, the technical term would be motif, which he uses to build a theme.
I see. Thanks for setting me straight about that, Bob.
I'm editing this in because I got the news too late to include in the original video, but I wanted to acknowledge the passing of Scott Guerin. Besides being the son of the famous session drummer John Guerin, and the lead singer of the LA punk band The Deadbeats, he was just a great and funny guy, and I followed him on Facebook, and he always had really intelligent and interesting things to say, and of course very funny things to say. And he was a supporter of this channel, and he always commented on my videos, and he even sent VCLT. So I just wanted to get it out there and say farewell, Scott Guerin. You will be missed. So that's VC Friday for this 21st day of August. And I do want to remind you that if you haven't yet purchased your very own copy of Up Above the World So High, it's waiting for you. It's calling to you. You want it. You must have it. It's a beauty. And the link to purchase it at my Bandcamp site is in the description of this video. So thanks very much for watching. Be well, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.
Well, I guess that just about wraps things up for today. And I hope you'll be joining me next week.